I'm Heather.
And I'm Desiree.
And you're listening to
the Perpetually Overdue Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Perpetually Overdue Podcast. My name is Heather.
And I'm Desiree.
And this week, I'm laughing because your whole desk.
I know.
You've got to stop doing that.
I literally barely have to touch the desk.
I know.
And it's an earthquake. It's the weakest desk I've ever had.
This week, we are going to be talking about stepping into our villain era. But it's not exactly what you think, because it is actually a new practice of self-love and self-care, and particularly to just be unbothered. Now, we're going to get into a little bit later on why we call it the villain era, because it really doesn't ring true to actual villain eras, but you'll understand a little bit later on. But first, we're going to start with a little web dictionary definition of what it means to be unbothered. To be unbothered is to show a lack of concern or interest in something. Now, before we start getting into the positives of being unbothered, we definitely need to talk about and preface this episode by saying that there's a negative way to be unbothered.
Absolutely.
And I think that, and maybe Desiree will agree with me on this, but I think that since the pandemic and since we were all in quarantine in our houses, I feel like there's been a shift socially amongst the people where we have forgotten how to act in public with other people around.
Ooh, understatement of the century.
It is so bad that my husband and I can no longer go and watch movies at a movie theater because the whole experience is ruined for us by somebody who thinks that they're watching a movie in their own living room.
Ooh, sorry, because
go ahead.
I was literally triggered this morning by a man who just acted so entitled and privileged, and it was 8:30 in the damn morning. I was tired. I wanted my energy drink, and I just wanted a damn sub from this deli place. Okay, because I need a vent.
Get into it.
It is 8:30 in the morning. The supermarket is pretty empty. So I walk to the deli section where you can request for them to make a fresh sandwich. No one's really in the front yet because it's still early. So I park my ass right where they make the sandwiches. Now, I'm not up on the glass. I'm giving a little space.
You're a considerate distance away.
Waiting for them to show up so then they can take my order. Man's over here walks in front of me and stands in front of the glass. And I'm standing there going, no. Tell me he's not literally going to pretend he was here first.
I'm invisible, apparently.
I'm standing here with not a crowd. You can't miss me. I'm also not a small woman. I'm standing there waiting politely, and you just walked in front of me like I literally don't exist and parked your ass. So the woman comes out to make the sandwiches, and she looks at us like, and I go to step up because I'm like, I was here first, and he's just like about to start. And I literally was like, oh no, I'm not gonna stay quiet.
That's what needs to happen.
Yeah, I absolutely was like, actually, I was here first, but if he insists on going first, then, it is what it is. And he was like, I mean, it doesn't matter. And he took his turn in front of me. And I was like, I had to walk away.
I wouldn't have even given him that open door. I would have been like, I was here first, and I would have started singing.
Because it was just the audacity. And I shouldn't be. I mean, again, a typical privileged, entitled man, ignoring a woman's presence, not having the slightest decency, not because I'm a woman, because I'm a human being who was there first, but not even giving a shit. And I was just so flabbergasted and upset that the snark came out more than just claiming my spot. Yeah. Because I looked at her and I was like, I was here first. But if he insists on going first, And he was just
And
like,
honestly, the deli worker should have been like, okay, ma'am, so what would you like then?
because she's a woman too, so I was
Yeah.
hoping for that. But I guess she doesn't like confrontation. So when he insisted on
Ongoing.
starting, and I just stood there like, are you fucking for real? I walked away and came back like 15 minutes later because I was like, I'm going, in my mind, I'm stabbing this man.
No, I hear
am
you.
shanking him.
No,
for-
I hear you. I had a similar
Ooh.
instance. My husband and Nick were going, and I say that obviously Desiree knows who Nick is, but for people who have not heard him before, we were going to Dutch Brothers. We were pulling up to the drive-thru, and I was driving. And this man decided after getting into the drive-thru that he no longer wanted to be there or to wait. So he started to back up, which fine. You changed your mind. Maybe you got in line. You thought it was going to go faster, whatever. There was nobody behind you before I pulled up. Now there are people behind me. This man is reversing so quickly and without hesitating or pausing to allow me to put my car into reverse and to move back. At first, when he was reversing, I wasn't sure what he was trying to do. I was like, is he trying to get out of the drive-thru? Is he just adjusting? Like maybe he got too close to the curb because it curves to get to the window. He did not even stop. I got so fucking pissed. I backed up for him because I didn't want him to hit me. This man was coming at me like he was going to hit my car. I should have let him. I would have had so many witnesses about him being the one that hit me. So I backed up. He backed up this way. So we're now both facing each other. And I'm like, I was like, I put my window down, and of course he saw me doing all this because this is the universal sign for bitch. Like, I'm about to fucking tell you off. So he puts his window down. I was like, you couldn't be patient? You couldn't wait a minute? He's like, I was being patient. I was waiting. I was like, no, you weren't, bitch. I was so pissed off. I wanted
you can do that in Colorado. Miami, you'll get shot.
First of all, where I live in Colorado, it is very unusual for people to behave that way. Honestly, this was like the first rude person that I've encountered here. Usually people are pretty nice. But he was acting like such an entitled asshole. He had his wife in the seat next to him, and I was like, I feel bad for her. Because if this is how he behaves, like a fucking child, like how does he treat her? I wanted to get into his micro penis. I wanted to tell him that his inferior man complex is not my problem. Like, but all that came out was, no, you didn't, bitch. No, you weren't, bitch.
Poor Nick. What was Nick doing?
He was like, I would have stepped in if the guy was rude because the guy wasn't rude. He was just like, I was being patient. I was waiting.
Like my Mr. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, but let me go anyway. So he said I would have said something, but he also knew I have it handled. We're very much a black cat, golden retriever relationship. So I'm the one that's more confrontational. I'm the one that will say something. But I did let him know, like, hey, you know, it would be nice if you speak up for me because people always think that when you have a strong personality and you are outspoken, that you don't ever need anybody to come to your defense. She's good. She's got it handled. I'm like, no, I would still like to be defended. And he has. My husband has come to my defense before, like at a concert with some drunk girl who pushed into me and I was about to deck her in the face and he got in between us and like her boyfriend got in between us too and he was like, get your girl kind of thing. So I know that he's capable of doing that. But in that moment, I was halfway out the window, so he couldn't have said anything anyways. I was like, no, you weren't, bitch. Anyway, so all that to say, when we are talking about being unbothered, know that it is not acceptable. The lack of concern or interest, by definition, that is unbothered, is not acceptable as it relates to the treatment and consideration of other human beings.
Yes. Which
we have enough of that.
Should be an obvious asterisk to anything, but sadly, we have to clarify these things nowadays.
Because, and Desiree brought this up in season 1, I don't remember which episode it was, but when anything becomes a trend, like this, obviously, you know, your villain era, unbothered, main character energy, all of this stuff, you have to take everything with a grain of salt, because inevitably people are going to take it to the extreme.
Yeah.
People are going to take it as an excuse for their bad behavior. Oh, I'm just in my villain era, or I'm just practicing main character energy. No, you're being a cunt. Just don't do that.
For real.
Good thing we're not monetized.
We can say anything we want now.
So, if you are treating other people unjustly or maliciously, that is not the same as being unbothered. Because, yes, you can be unbothered. There is an obvious lack of concern or interest that you have for other people, but that is not an acceptable way to live. And obviously, you would hope that if you are not treating people in your immediate life that way, that you're also not treating the world in that way, meaning that other people's lives that don't have anything to do with you also concern you. Like, you want good things for them. You don't want immigrants coming to this country to build a better life for themselves and their families to be hauled away by our modern day Gestapo for racist reasons. Let's just be honest, just for racism, because a lot of these people have visas, a lot of these people have paperwork to be here. Maybe they overstayed a little bit, but it's a civil I just want to say it is a civil offense. It is not a criminal offense to be here and overstay your visa,
because it's just wild to think the way the people who defend ICE would be dragging a country that would treat them as an immigrant because they are Americans in another country.
Yep.
They would be dragging that country for treating Americans that way. And it just goes to show it's this superiority complex that in their mind, they're not immigrants in a country. They're like
expats.
Bigger than anything.
There's a whole other word for it because they don't want to be labeled that.
Exactly. And I'm like, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. These people are not committing crimes, just like you are not when you go off to another country and you're visiting for an extended time, maybe thinking about moving there for a better life, or
not to mention how long and expensive the immigration process is here. A lot of people that have overstayed visas or, you know, had legal paperwork, they have been trying for the last 10, 20 years to get their citizenship. So aside from that, I have seen an alarming lack of care or interest in the world around us. And I do have a couple of examples of that. Obviously, Gaza and Palestine is an example of that. People are like, out of sight, out of mind. It's not happening here. I don't care about what's happening there. They don't see themselves in those people. And that is a problem. That is why we are where we are in this country, is because we're so self-centered and not in a good way, that as long as it's not happening to us, you know, you just kind of shrug your shoulders and throw it up as if like it's not a big deal. Same thing with immigration, we've talked about. And then the other thing, I cannot watch these videos because they piss me off. They're social experiment videos. Have you ever seen social experiment videos on YouTube?
I don't know.
They'll be like shorts. I don't know how much of them are actually genuine, as the scenario is made up. But the people walking down the street, they'll usually do it in like larger cities where there's more people walking around.
Where
so,
they
like,
stop and ask them questions?
No. So this is what will happen. They will set up a scenario to see how people will react to that scenario. And they're usually extreme situations. So it can be a scenario where a guy is being rough with his girlfriend, you know, pulling on her, dragging her away. There was even one where this guy comes up behind a kid and grabs him, puts his hand over his mouth and pulls him into an alleyway.
Okay.
Now, these people, they're actors. The kid is an actor, everything. But the people that are just walking by, they're supposed to be just like random, everyday civilians, not involved in this experiment. The amount, and again, I think that editing has a lot to do with this, because I want to believe that more people do stand up for others. But I think it's more impactful when they create these videos where you see a lot more people ignoring the issue, and then you'll have like one or two people who actually do something, and it's like, look at these people, they're being good humans kind of stuff. The amount of people that saw a child get pulled into an alleyway by a strange man and just walked by, shook their heads like, not my problem, and didn't do shit is alarming. The amount of people, there was one where this guy was at a street light and he was waiting for the walk sign, a bunch of people around him. This guy comes up to him, pats him on the back, but he wasn't just patting him on the back, he was sticking a sign to the back of him. This was a black man, by the way, and that's important to this social experiment, because the guy put a picture of a monkey on his back, which is a notable racist comparison of black people. They had done this over and over again, so they probably shot it like a few times with different groups of people crossing the street. One woman took it off his back, crumpled it up, threw it away, didn't even let him see it. A lot of people took it off his back and handed it to him, which I'm glad that they at least took it off of him, but to hand it to him is kind of like, look what somebody did to you, aren't you embarrassed? But the amount of people that did nothing, there's this one mother who I'm like, you are a terrible parent, because her child saw the guy do it, started laughing, and she started laughing with him. The amount of people that took pictures of it, took pictures of the back of this man with the picture of a monkey taped to his back. It makes me lose faith in humanity, honestly.
Well, I just learned about the new trend that the young people are doing, the flip camera trend.
Yeah, I saw that too. It is
I was horrified when I found out, because at first I heard them talking about it on social media, and I was like, I don't know what that is. And then someone actually explained it with examples, and it was so heartbreaking, disturbing, and it just, the faith in humanity has just dwindled so severely in the last year.
And grown people do this. There was an influencer who was stitching another video where these two grown-ass women were at a bar. They're taking a video of themselves in like the selfie style, looking into the camera, and then they part ways on purpose to show this woman behind them who was a larger woman who was wearing a short skirt. She was standing by a bar, just minding her business. And they decided to show her like, oh, look at her. And I was like, are you in fucking middle school? Like, what is wrong with you?
This is why I don't go to gyms, and most plus size women don't go to gyms, because there are a lot of bitches who pull this shit in the privacy of a locker room, where you should not worry that you're going to be half naked and be ridiculed on TikTok by some stranger that you didn't know was filming you. It's ridiculous.
I'm not a plus size woman, but I still would not undress in a locker room because of the, mean girl energy that can sometimes be in gym locker rooms. And men will do it too. They will take video of you exercising, minding your business.
Yeah.
So we're prefacing it by saying this because none of what we're about to say in regards to being unbothered as an act of self-love and entering into your villain era has to do with that type of behavior.
No.
And a perfect example of this is Sydney Sweeney, because holy fucking shit. That, I don't know, for those of you that are listening or watching on YouTube, if you have not seen, I don't know how you haven't, because it's been all over the internet, but clips of her being interviewed by GQ magazine. They talked about a lot of things in this interview. I didn't see the whole thing because I cannot stand this girl's face or voice, so I didn't even bother. But one of the things that they wanted to do was address all the controversy surrounding the American Eagle ad, specifically the angle that they took when it comes to genetic superiority. My genes are blue and Sydney Sweeney has great genes bullshit. And how that is clearly targeted toward a specific group of people with a very specific Aryan European look to them that in the past has been used as a means to claim superiority to other ethnic groups or races. It's in poor taste. Even if you didn't necessarily mean that, it does not look good on your end that this is what you're putting out into the world, and you think that people are just going to be okay with it or not take it in that way, when historically the idea of superior genetics has been a very big cause of division and of life being lost, literally. So it was in very poor taste. When it came out and all the controversy was happening, she said nothing. Mm-hmm. Here was a prime opportunity, and it seemed like a perfect setup for her to say, that is not what the intention was. Mm-hmm. The intention was to create a play on words, and we definitely overshot, didn't see the comparison, blah, 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 blah. This bitch chose to just sit there looking completely unbothered. And that's why I bring it up, because she has this very contrived attitude of like nonchalant. I just don't care. Even in her voice sounds like she's straining to speak. Like just everything about her persona is unbothered. She's sitting there with her hair tucked into her jacket, just like, it's all very contrived. And she said, when I have something to say, people will know. I'll say it. So in other words, I don't have shit to say about the controversy and about the specifics of genetic superiority and how it played up to that in the commercial. And I was like, this is the wrong kind of unbothered.
Ding, ding, ding.
We're not doing that here. Nope. That's not what we mean. Nope. And I'm glad that people are calling it out, and it is completely unacceptable. I'm not sad that her latest movie, and in fact all of her movies that came out this past year, were total box office flops.
Here.
And I will not be supporting her in the future. I never really supported her, but I will definitely be avoiding her at all costs. So now that we have talked about what unbothered is not, let's talk about what unbothered should look like, and how being unbothered can be an act of self-love.
So the kind of unbothered that we're speaking on this week and how it references to self-care is the kind that doesn't care what others think of you, so long as you are not harming yourself or others. In other words, it isn't a lack of accountability for your actions, basically. And you still have within your life true friends and loved ones who are going to call you on your shit. And you will be open to listening to that, because there's a difference between being an arrogant brat who's like, I'm unbothered by anything anyone tells me. Yeah. That's not self-care, sweetheart. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about specifically when it comes to outside influences that want to tell you what your life should look like. The shoulds of society. You should look like this. You should do that. You should be this. You should. You know, especially for women. Oh, how society loves, especially the men in the patriarchal. Yeah. They love to be like, women should. Oh my God. Every time I stumble across a social media video, literally any man who starts the conversation, you know, women should scroll. Yeah. I'm like, I don't even want, because if I even listen 2 seconds to the bullshit that I know is about to come out of your mouth. Yeah. And that is why I think, especially in the climate that we are right now, which is revealing the sad, ugly truths about who people are and where they stand and what they think about women and those who are minorities and those who live different lifestyles. We have to take on this unbothered villain era persona and trait, and that is how it is self-care.
Yeah, it is self-love and self-care when you just don't give a shit. And I think it's something that can happen quite naturally as you get older. I know stepping into my 30s, I saw a reduction in caring what other people thought about me. And I mean it in reference to how I look, what I wear, who I love, how I identify, like, what do I do with my body, with my time, with my money, like the things that pertain to me, the decisions that I should be making for my own life. And I do hear feedback, I do get advice, but at the end of the day, I'm the one that makes the decision.
Yes.
For all of those things. And there is such a delicious freedom in not giving a shit about anything, even to the point of like, I don't care about trends anymore. Because they come and go so quickly. But not just that, everything gets recycled. So anything that you have sitting in your closet is going to come back into style at some point. And I love the movement of just like, wear what the fuck you want to wear.
Yes.
And who gives a shit? What do they say about opinions are like assholes? Everyone has got one.
I feel like maybe I've heard that once, but it's been so long that I forgot it existed.
It hits again. But that's the thing. Everybody has an opinion. Yeah. And I think that it is a radical act of self-love when you throw away other people's opinions, especially when it's not constructive. Because let's be honest, it's not even just, I don't like this. It's people who are so incredibly self-absorbed that, let's say I went on to YouTube and I created a makeup tutorial based off of how I look. And you have somebody in the comments section saying, well, I don't have that skin tone, or I don't have that. And I'm like, then it's not for you, bitch.
Exactly. But God forbid, it's like, but it's on the internet, so it should be for me. That's not how that works. Oh my God. For example, I'm an indie romance author. And we go through this scenario all the time where it's like, okay, if this is not your cup of tea, it doesn't mean it's bad. No. There is just a different genre that you will like more. Just because within all of the romance genre, these aren't the types of books you like, doesn't mean they're bad. But there's so much more that you can explore, and you'll find what you like. It's like, if it's out there, especially because with TikTok making books popular and suddenly becoming mainstream, people assume, well, then they have to be perfect and likable for everyone. No, that's not art. That's not how art works.
No, and it never has worked that way. So why all of a sudden are we? And I am convinced it's people who did not know life before the internet and social media, because it has become a epidemic at this point where people think that everything has to be catered towards them, and it is impossible to cater content for everybody's liking. I don't care what the art form is. You are going to have people who like it. You're going to have people who hate it. You're going to have people who can take it or leave it. That is just the nature of the world and the different personalities and interests and things in life that we gravitate towards. We're all different people with different experiences and preferences. And why is that a bad thing?
Exactly.
Are we all supposed to like the fucking same thing?
I feel like we've fallen into that narrative in the last 10 years with the internet. It's like, if it's out there, it has to be liked by everyone to be considered good. And if it's hated by anyone, then it's bad. No, art is subjective. There is literally something for everyone out there. It's the beauty of having different opinions and likes and dislikes. It's a beautiful thing that we're all not just lemmings who are walking in a conveyor belt and supposed to like the same things. That's not life. We're all different. Life is different. Locations are different. Cultures are different. Experiences are different. Two people can experience summer and have completely different experiences on whether they love it or hate it. And it doesn't mean that one is wrong. No.
I know this, and it's so infuriating when it comes to like art, books, movies. Sorry, my septum ring. If you ever see me doing this, I'm not picking my nose. It's my septum ring. But it's like when you critique something and it just wasn't for you, and you give reasons of why it wasn't for you, you're always going to have somebody in the comment section, well, I liked it. And I'm like, great, that's awesome for you. Why does me not liking it take away from you liking it? So much so that you felt the need to hit that little comment button and get your little fingies working and then hit that button instead of thinking about it and going, nah, and hitting delete. You hit that button and you make the comment and you're like really proud of yourself.
And you're waiting to hear back. You're ready.
I'm like, when somebody doesn't like something that I like, I just go, okay. Like, it doesn't affect me in any way.
It's not going to stop me from liking what I like.
No, I'm going to be over here like,
exactly,
eating my popcorn, watching this movie that y'all hate and I love.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's extremely exhausting to
oh my God,
try to cater to everybody's preferences, to try, especially when it comes to your own identity, when it comes to yourself and what you do with yourself in any capacity, to have to cater to somebody else's preferences, to have to cater to somebody else's opinions. It is so exhausting, and it's something that you do in your teenage years, and you hopefully leave that behind in your teenage years, because hell to the nah. I saw this clip of Friends the other day on YouTube, and it was the boys. It was Joey, Ross, and Chandler, and they were sitting down on a couch at the coffee shop that they always go to, and it was like, they had just gone out with their friend, like their fun friend who comes into town, and there's always something crazy that happens. And they went out with him, and it was exhausting for them. And they're like complaining about like, oh, it was so loud there. Does it have to be so loud? And then Ross is like, thank God I brought that extra pair of socks. I did not want to touch anything in that last place. And then they had this moment of like, man, we're lame. And then Joey's like, yeah. And then Chandler's like, no, we're not. We're just not 22 anymore. He's like, I want to sit quietly at home with a good book and go to bed at a reasonable hour. And Joey's like, yeah. And I want to go to a place where I could talk to my friends. And then, of course, Ross always has to be the one to say something crazy. He's like, yeah. And if I want to go home and pop on some Kenny G and take a bubble bath, then I should be able to do that. The point is that things do change when you get older. Yeah. And the younger generation might see you as being lame and cringy and all of that, which, by the way, same. I think you're lame and cringy sometimes too. But who cares? It doesn't matter. If that's what you like, then that's what you like. So being unbothered as an act of self-love, it allows you to take up a reasonable amount of space in the world. And when I say reasonable, I mean for the consideration of other people. And it isn't yielding to the demands of everyone and everything else. I have a perfect example of this in my own life. And then Desiree has a story that is going to be really good too to get into. My husband and I went kayaking on a lake, and it was a pretty large lake. And of course, you're going to have other kayakers, you're going to have paddle boarders, you're going to have people on their little boats fishing. Now, this was the type of lake that there were no power boats, so nothing with an engine. We get into the lake, we're paddling around, and off in the distance, and it was a considerable distance, there was a guy that was fishing. And I'm paddling in that direction. I'm not anywhere near the guy. I don't plan on getting close to him. But if I want to go in that direction, I don't see the problem with it. My husband was like, oh, should we turn around? Because I don't want to disturb that guy and scare the fishes away. And I'm like, honey, I love that you're a considerate person. But it gets taken to the level of inconveniencing yourself. Like, we were riding bikes the other day, and we had to get onto the sidewalk. We usually have bike lanes, but the bike lane on this side was going in the opposite direction. So we couldn't obviously get into that bike lane. We were probably on that sidewalk for like 1 block, which is like 2 minutes. And there was a woman walking in the opposite direction. She was coming towards us. She ended up turning, but before that happened, he was like, should we get into the bike lane? Should we move out? And I'm like, get into the bike lane that is in the opposite direction. That's dangerous at that point, because you have cars coming in that direction and you're going in the opposite way. That's not how that works. That's for bikers who are going in the same direction as the cars are. And I'm like, you're going to literally put yourself in physical danger just to not inconvenience this woman who can go around us, because this is a large enough sidewalk that we can both coexist here. I'm sorry. It's something that me and my personality, I've never dealt with before. It has never occurred to me to always be the one to move out of the way. I think we should both move out of the way for each other. I think that's how the world should function. And I ended up having to give him this speech during the kayaking of like, you're allowed to exist in this world. Your presence is not an inconvenience to other people. You're not a burden. You are allowed to take up space. And that is, I think, a huge thing on the journey to being unbothered, is that comfort with being able to take up space and not think that your existence is a burden or an inconvenience to other people, and that you should be as tucked into the corner and as little as possible so as not to bother anyone. And so I wanted to share that. I got permission from my husband to share that as well.
It's sad because I can relate to very much being Nick majority of my life until I was in my mid 30s, where I very much went out of my way all the time to not inconvenience the world around me, especially as a plus size woman, because society demanded that I should change in order to be allowed to take up space. Majority of us plus size women have lived our entire lives making ourselves small because we feel like we have inconvenienced the world by being in a bigger body, and because we know they don't like it, we're always making ourselves uncomfortable and contorting ourselves to not inconvenience the world. And it has been a long journey to become more unbothered and realize I'm allowed to live my life too,
Yeah, girl.
just like any freaking other person in this world. And so for me, I would say it definitely took until my mid 30s. Now I'm 41, and I am still till this day learning to set boundaries that are necessary for my self-love. And that is the kind of unbothered we all need to kind of start walking into. And hopefully it doesn't take you till you're in your 30s and 40s to start doing that. It's the kind that doesn't allow others to treat you in any kind of way that makes you smaller in this world.
Yep.
And in order to not let people make you smaller, it requires you to start setting boundaries in place, enforcing them, because once you set them, you're going to be put to the test, and you're going to in real time need to learn to then reinforce those boundaries, because again, boundaries usually with the people in your life who've gotten used to you without them because it has served them don't always take well to when you do set up those boundaries. And so I've had to learn, and I'm working on it still with my therapist, to not give a shit when those in my life get mad at the boundaries that I am constantly reinforcing now. So, for example, recently I've had a loved one who has really taken to seeing me with boundaries in a way they've never seen before.
Yeah.
To the point that they have accused me of changing in a negative light, because in a negative light to them, because they're like, you're meaner, you've become bitchier. These are like literally what they've told me. And I've had to reiterate, no, I am just defending myself now. I stayed quiet all my life because of fear of confrontation, fear of being misunderstood, just so many different reasons. And I'm not doing that anymore. I'm finally defending myself. I'm finally saying what I feel when for so long I just kept it quiet, suffered in silence, which only perpetuated my diagnosed depression and anxiety. And now at 41, I'm saying no more. And thankfully, because of my therapist, she's not only encouraging that, but trying to teach me the tools to stand in that. And even when those in your life get mad at you because of it, and will sometimes say things that are hurtful in the moment and you want to defend, but at the end of the day, people are so used to who you were without boundaries and benefited from that person you were without them. It's gonna take them working on themselves individually to finally appreciate what you're doing. So there's a part of you that needs to be unbothered with not fixing it for them, because you can't.
Yes,
but still standing your own.
I 100% agree. I will say it is a very hard thing to not just create a boundary. I think that that is difficult in and of itself. I don't want to diminish that, but I think the harder thing is to enforce a boundary when it has been crossed.
Yeah.
And usually that means that there is some kind of consequence to somebody overstepping your boundaries and not honoring that boundary, especially if they do it on a continual basis. But what's even harder than that is to not let yourself get worked up or sad or question yourself if somebody gets mad and be like, well, am I in the wrong? Because there are so many people that live to please the ones that are around them to the detriment of themselves. And so they can't handle somebody being mad at them. They can't handle...
Reformed people pleaser right here.
Same with my husband. And he's been on that journey too. It's hard. It is difficult when somebody is mad at you. I think for me, because I always have been a little brat in a way, and not in a bad way, but in a good way of like, I'm gonna stand up for myself.
I wish, yeah.
I'm used to people being upset with me. I also have this aura about me where I can just sit reading a book and somebody's like, you're so intimidating. And I'm like, my God, I'm just existing. Like,
exactly.
When you get to that point where people will come up to you just to inform you that you look intimidating reading a book, then you just don't care anymore because you're like, wow, I can't do anything without...
Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Without somebody having a personal issue with it, as if my presence is grinding on their insecurities. That's one word I heard my entire life. Intimidating, intimidating, intimidating. I just determined that I cannot make myself any less in order to make somebody else feel more comfortable. I will not diminish myself in order to make somebody else feel more than what they are. They are what they are. It's not my fault. Yeah. And I'm going to be who I am. And I think it's really difficult to live in that because that person might be mad at you for some time.
Yeah.
And if you continue in that relationship with that person and they don't come to accept it, you're going to be doing this over and over again. And every time you're going to have to stand up for yourself. So it is not easy. I'm super proud of Desiree, super proud of Nick for doing the work. I mean, every time she tells me how she's enforced a boundary, I'm like, yes, I'm throwing a little party.
She does.
I'm doing this.
I get all the gifts. I get all the gifts.
Yeah, queen. Because it is an act of self-love. And
she's seen, I mean, we have 20 plus years of friendship.
Yes.
So she saw me in the people-pleasing era of not having boundaries. And so, yeah.
Which brings it to the next point. Because people are going to have an issue with you unapologetically taking up space, having proper boundaries, living in the complete freedom of self, you will inevitably become a villain in someone else's story.
Yes.
You are not the villain. Let me reiterate that. You are not the villain.
Nope.
But some people may look at you as being the villain in their story. And you know what, baby? That is their problem and theirs.
They're, like Heather said earlier, when you get over and finally come to terms with people being mad at you for setting your boundaries and all that stuff, but you finally kind of like accept and stand on your own, the freedom when you finally stop giving a shit is beautiful.
It is.
Oh my God. Because it is exhausting.
Yeah, I mean, sleep like this at night.
For real, especially like as a woman, 41, choosing since her 20s to be child free, living my life as society does not deem and finds a conundrum or many things wrong with. I am not caring anymore. I think in my late 20s, early 30s, I was freaking out that my life didn't look the way society expected it to look. And there was there was inner turmoil with that for a few years. But when I finally accepted who I am, what I am, and realized we're not all supposed to follow the same script. Like we were saying earlier, we're all different people with different experiences and likes and interests. And that's what's beautiful of humanity. So why are we all trying to emulate our lives until death? That's ridiculous. And so again, the freedom when I finally accepted this is what my life looks like. And I am unbothered by outside opinions of it because I'm fine with it. I'm happy with it. Yeah. I enjoy myself. I enjoy my time. I enjoy my life. And that's what matters in the end over anyone else's opinion, as long as I am considerate and not harming myself and others.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, is that most of the time it isn't harming anyone. People take offense to things not because it actually does damage to them, but because it touches a soft spot in their own psyche, in their own lives, that they don't really want to acknowledge or look at. And your presence or your ability to do something is challenging. Exactly. It's like somebody who doesn't drink, and you go out with them and you're not aware that they don't drink, and you order some alcohol and they're like, oh, I don't drink, and they order like a Sprite or something, and then all of a sudden it's like, why don't you drink? Oh, you think you're too good to drink?
It
you're
like
holier than
physically bothers the drinker
because
because
likely what it is that they have a problem. They have an unhealthy relationship with alcohol. And the fact that you choose not to drink is pressing on that issue. Because let me tell you, baby, I don't have a problem with alcohol. So if somebody chooses not to drink, it don't bother me. I'm going to have my little drinky drink cocktail, okay? And I'll be just fine.
Well,
not having a drink doesn't do anything to me.
To add a different perspective to that, though, sometimes it's not even that you're confronting an issue they have. A lot of times it's just people's insecurity because they are not confident in standing in who they are. So this person choosing so confidently to stand in whatever they have chosen to do, it's almost like the other person's now questioning themselves because they're not confident in who they are. They're still not truly loving themselves because now they're going, well, then what's wrong? Is there something wrong because I choose to drink? Or do you see something wrong in me because I'm choosing to still drink? It's like they're being confronted with their existence out of insecurity, not even because they have a problem, which is sad because then they become combative almost towards the other person who's just living their lives the way they're living their lives.
And that's a very good point. And that comes from not having confidence in yourself and in your choices, because what somebody else decides to do with their life has no bearing on what you do with yours. And we need to get out of this mentality of because somebody doesn't do something, it means that that thing that they have chosen not to do is a bad thing. And because I do it, that means that they see me as being bad. If that's your issue, then just have a conversation with someone, talk about it, and see what their perspective is. Get to know what their reasoning is behind it. It might surprise you, and then you would realize that it has nothing to do with you. Why? I just want people to understand.
We're self-centered. Homo sapiens.
Good. Yes. Nobody is thinking about you. Nobody's thinking about me. People are not thinking about us, noticing us, judging us as much as we think that people are doing that.
And the ones who are ugly-hearted people, so why do we give a shit?
Exactly. So, to wrap up this episode, I decided to do something a little fun, a little listicle, if you know what that is, a little BuzzFeedy, which is, here are 5 ways that you can step into your unbothered villain era. And Desiree and I are going to go back and forth with these. I'll start. We just talked about this. Setting and enforcing firm boundaries and not giving a shit what other people think about it. That is one way.
The other way is to stand up for yourself. In any scenario where you feel confident about what you feel and think about a certain circumstance, situation, don't cower. If you feel differently, there's nothing wrong with you voicing respectfully where you stand.
Mm-hmm. And that also relates to standing up for yourself if somebody is coming at you with the wrong attitude as well, not allowing people to treat you any kind of way. The next one, number 3, is take up space physically, emotionally, mentally. Take up space in the world. Allow yourself to do that, because I promise you, there are more people who are unbothered by you taking up space than the few people who are bothered by it. And the people who are bothered by you existing and taking up space in the world can go kick rocks. Seriously. Just kick them, munch on them, sit on them, butt booty
Area
naked.
Next, number 4. And I have no problem with this one. I've always said it. If you know me, as much as of a people pleaser as I have always been, and I have cared a little too much about what people think, this aspect of my life and relationships has never been a problem. And that is removing toxicity from your life. People, situations, it's your job, anything that brings toxicity, that removes your peace, that steals it, cut it out. Without shame, without apology, without explanation. You don't owe anyone an explanation. For me, people especially, it's one of those things that when I am done with someone, I am done.
Oh, yeah.
And I have no problem. Once I cut that cord and I say goodbye, you're forever gone. I don't think about you. I don't reminisce about you. I have no emotional tie to you anymore. I don't know. It's something that I've always been able to do.
Yeah.
And it's one thing that I highly encourage people, because I am a highly sensitive person by nature. So I know it is an act of self-love that if something is only bringing me pain and burden, that needs to get out of my life.
Oh, yeah. 100%. And the very last one, number 5, in how you can step into your unbothered villain era today, is do whatever the fuck you want.
Yes.
Within reason, of course. Yes. Again, without harming anyone or yourself.
Put the little asterisk. Goodness.
I don't know. We just have to repeat this so many times because there are just so many toxic people who will take this and be like, yeah, excuse for my bad behavior.
They told me exactly.
Meaning, wear whatever you want. Have whatever career you want. Live wherever you want. Practice whatever you want. And I mean hobby or spirituality or whatever. Spend your money however you want. Don't go broke, but spend it. Eat whatever you want and don't feel guilty about it. Look however you fucking want. You know, one thing that I really loved seeing on social media is women in their 40s, 50s, and 60s dressing to please their inner 16-year-old.
Oh my God, I have come across some of that.
There's such a freedom in that, because we had this idea of before that as you get older, you have to change the way that you look and dress and carry yourself in order to show the world that you are the age that you are. When in reality, who gives a shit? The fact that I wear Converse has no bearing on me being able to pay my bills, to make doctor's appointments, to sign a lease, to rent a place. Like, none of that is going to fall apart because I choose to wear Converse instead of like Dr. Scholl's shoes in my 50 or 60 years. And you know what? You fucking earned it. If you want to have pink streaks in your hair at 70 years old, do that, girl.
Yes.
So love who you want.
Yes.
Be free. And one motto that I live by as a green witch is for the good of all and the harm of none. And that is the overall theme. All of this, the unbothered, the villain era, is for the good of all and the harm of none. Just do you. Now, I know. Hopefully this is healing for some people to hear.
Yes.
And also hopefully it clarifies what truly being unbothered looks like when it comes to self-love, because there's an unbothered that is toxic and hurts others, and in the end it hurts you. And that is what we want to avoid. So for our listeners and our viewers on YouTube, we love you guys, appreciate you. We have some questions for you at the end of this episode that we would love to hear in the comments section on any of the podcast platforms or on YouTube, or even if this is part of a short, on YouTube or Instagram reel. Have you already stepped into your unbothered villain era? I would love to hear from those of you who have, because I want to know what your experience has been like. How has your life changed for the better? Because I know it's for the better.
Absolutely.
If you haven't stepped into your unbothered villain era, girl, guy, anybody, they, them, all of you, what's stopping you? What is stopping you from stepping into this era where there's such freedom to be had?
Yes.
Let us know in the comments section if you have or will be stepping into your villain era today. We would love to hear any beautiful people out there who are like, you know what? I'm about to do that today. Fuck all of this shit.
And we will be your cheerleaders.
Oh, we will.
Hell yeah. Hype you up on that decision.
If you watch season 1 of us, you know what I'm about to do. Desiree, take it away.
So things look a little different, but be sure to find us on social media. We are no longer on TikTok, but you can still find us over on YouTube. As Heather said, we post shorts. You can comment and like on the shorts. On the videos, head over to Instagram where we are posting reels, just like you used to see us on TikTok. And you can comment there as well. You can watch and comment on any podcast platform that allows comments. There are a lot of podcast platforms that allow you now to comment on podcast episodes. So feel free to chat with us there. We will be notified. We love talking with you guys. So be sure to do all the wonderful things. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. This was a very fun topic. I enjoyed it heavily. And we have so much more coming for season 2. So get ready, friends. We love you. We're excited to see
subscribe,
you.
Follow, share, do all the things. And until next time, bye-bye.
Bye.